Today we're answering what wine to buy when. There'll be multiple scenarios that we're going through. I'm Jason.
And I'm Trent.
And we're from the Wind Up Podcast. We're two guys that are on our unfiltered and unapologetically unprofessional wine journey. And our slogan is...
Drink more,
try more, learn more. And so before we get into these two different scenarios and our recommendations of the wine to buy, let's have a chat about thoughts of the week. Trent, did you want to go first?
Yeah, so my thoughts of the week is that through all my research on the very reputable website news.com.au.
Good site, yes.
Yeah, they had an article that talks about, their kind of, the economic situation at the moment, the cost of living. But then against all that, those Australians are still spending quite a fair amount of money on alcohol. To the extent of about $100 to $350 per week.
Wow, I didn't know it was that high. Yeah. Okay.
So, I took that into account and I thought, why is that so? Then it kind of dawned on me that, for me, Australian spending on alcohol is not a discretionary spend. It's a necessity.
Yes.
And I think it's a necessity for us to actually drink a bit, drink more, try more, and learn more. So that's my thought of the week.
What a link. And you had some real passion about that. I feel like you're trying to convince someone that you need to spend more money on alcohol.
Maybe. Could be my wife, could be someone else.
Could be someone else. Okay, interesting point. My thoughts of the week was thinking about price as well. And it was about the markups at restaurants. We've been to restaurants recently, had a couple of wines, and then I went back home and tried to research how much those wines actually were retail. And I'm finding out that wines are triple or double the price of what you can buy at retail. And so for me, I think it really changes the way that I purchase wine and is linked to our topic today around what wine to buy and when. If I'm at a restaurant, I'm very likely to say, I'm going to talk to the som and I'm going to say, give me something that goes well with the food and give it for me for a cheap price. Anything maybe under 100, maybe under 80. It depends on the kind of restaurant. But wines, be cautious of that. The markup at the restaurant is interesting.
But I think when you go into a restaurant, you go in there knowing that there's going to be a markup. And then you're not just paying for the wine, you're paying for everything else around that one. The cost to run that restaurant, the waiters and everything.
Yes.
So they make that very much not on the food and on the wine. So I think
that's why the price is there. Yeah, absolutely.
So you kind of go, that's fine.
Yeah.
But within kind of constraints of what you can actually afford.
You sound like you're in support of the restaurants. My Asian tightness is coming out. Just say some pennies, it's a good point.
Yeah.
It's how they make their money.
Yeah.
And so that's the thoughts of the week. Thanks for sharing that. Let's have a think about the wines that we've been drinking lately. And so for me, we had a recent gathering with some friends and we had some Laos food. So it was pawpaw salad, a bit of spice. It was fried quail, so a bit of oil. It was Laos sausage, bit of fattiness around there, lots of bold flavors. And so I tried to pair it with a Chablis. And so we tried it with a 2016 Daniel-Etienne Defaix Chablis, Vines.
Etienne Defaix?
Etienne, are you French?
I'm part French, part Indonesian, part Italian.
I'm just saying Etienne, like just keeping it straight. And how do you say the last part? Vine?
Viognier?
Viognier, yeah.
Old vines, I think.
That's exactly, you are French. This is exactly what it means. So some very old vines from there. And we found that it actually paired quite well with the Laos food. So the Chablis was quite sweet, had a bit of acidity, so it was quite refreshing, and the herbs kind of matched the fruit over there. And so that's something worth trying. It was $50 from Mr. Liquor.
Oh, yeah, famous Mr. Liquor, yeah.
So independent store, definitely check it out, see what content they have there. So now let's jump to the episode content. And the like we said, what we're trying to answer is what wine to buy when. And we have two scenarios that we thought would play out. And I might speak to Trent. Trent, what's the first scenario that you're going to discuss?
So the first scenario is around, what to buy when you go out on a first date.
Ooh, spicy. Yes. Okay. And there's lots of different factors to consider there.
Yeah. So I'll go straight into it. So the first thing is, for the first date, the first thing to consider is, do you want the second date or not?
Yes.
Let's assume that you do want the second date and you go to a nice restaurant. You know, the really nice restaurants that are very dimly lit, you know, where you need a light to actually look at the menu.
Bit of romance, yes.
Yeah, a bit of romance, and, you know, dark enough so they can hide all your imperfections on your face and everything else.
No, okay. Yeah.
But enough to also set a level of intrigue as well, to kind of want you kind of wanting for more, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this isn't Macca's. All right. Okay.
This is a McDonald's. So you go there, you open up the menu and think, you know, what should you order? You know, the lady orders the fish. You order the 2 kilogram Wagyu Marble 9+ tomahawk steak, right? Because you're damn hungry.
Yeah.
Because haven't had a big lunch to fit into your skinny jeans for that day, right?
Yeah, if you still wear skinny jeans, but yeah, keep going. Yes,
I do, but I don't know what you're saying. So you got the steak, you got the fish. So what do you go for? And the thought that kind of comes to me is a Pinot Noir.
Okay. Yes.
The reason why I said a Pinot Noir is because of 3 points. I think the first point that I had was is that I Googled to say what a Pinot Noir says about you. So it says that you have a fresh, elegant and graceful attitude that everyone craves in their lives. So who doesn't love that, right?
Yeah. You want some elegance. Yes.
Okay. The second point was around, by just saying Pinot Noir, you sound a bit more educated as well.
It's like how you were saying Ville vines, but
yeah,
Yes.
but it's a bit better than saying a Shiraz or a Shardy. You
Pinot
know,
Noir sounds.
but it's a Pinot Noir. It feels like, oh shit, this guy knows
There's
something about
different.
wine or something like that.
Yes.
Right? And then the third one is, in terms of the food pairing, if we get a bit more serious about it, is that, you know, the bright fruits and acidity of the Pinot Noir will kind of complement the fish dish, but also the structure of the Pinot Noir will also kind of match up towards the steak, hopefully, right? I don't think it'll be a perfect match for both, but I think it's a kind of middle ground for both the wines. And that's why for today I picked a Pinot Noir, and specifically for today I picked a 10 minutes by tractor Pinot Noir from the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria, called Down the Hill 2021. So this is a wine I recently, that I recently got in December when I traveled to the Yarra Valley and started visiting a few little wineries there. And this was one of the recommendations from Wine with Megan Mill to visit. And this is the one that really stood out for me, and hopefully you'll like it as well. And hopefully this also impress the first date. In this case, will be you.
I didn't know we were going on a first date. That kind of shocked me. I'm listening to your thought process around the date. And so it's not necessarily about the date themselves, but more what kind of food could the date be having, and
exactly. It's everything. It's the type of wine, it's the atmosphere, it's the context, the date itself, what the date is having. There's a lot to think about. I don't know whether you think purely of yourself, but you know, for me, I think about everything around it.
I'm wondering, do you think the date is thinking about price? Do you think, is this guy tight or not, or is he looking to impress, or do you think that factors into it?
Yes and no. I think just going for something that's a bit solid in terms of price range. To your point about, you know, what you pay in restaurants, you know, you're not going to pay, you know, $2,000 or, you know, $500,000. No, but I think around the $100 mark or a bit lower seems reasonable.
Very good point. Okay, all right, good choice, and I'm looking forward to try that.
Because just on that, you know, I think, I don't know, you know, does dollars mean a bit to it? Is it like a representation of, you know, that I've got a bit of money and I can look after you? Does that come into it as well?
I think we should ask the community. Let us know if you've been on a first date and the guy's pulled out a $5 wine versus someone that's given you $100 or something. Does that play into it? Let's see. Okay, interesting. And so should we taste it first?
Let's taste this one first.
And so at the wind up, we like to taste with our eyes, our nose, and our mouth. And so we'll be tasting the Pinot from Mornington Peninsula.
So this is a wine from the Mornington Peninsula that they have a few different wines. You know, there's one that's called Up the Hill.
Yeah.
There's a bit more lighter and elegant. And this one is called Down the Hill. There's a bit more bolder, stronger, a bit more structured.
Right. Okay. And then if we're looking with the eyes, and I'll bring this to the camera to see if you can see it. Nice bright red colors, translucent, slightly pink, slightly orange on the tinge. Anything else that you can see?
No, I think this is one.
Clear.
This is why I kind of always like Pinot Noirs as well. In terms of what you see, it kind of hides the kind of brooding complexity and strength underneath.
Right.
You know, the kind of lightness, pale red that I can see there. But on the nose, I always love the perfume of it.
So you're saying the
Pinot.
color looks quite light, and it can
yeah.
hide the actual strength of the flavor itself. Okay, that's interesting. Is that how you like to look on a first date as well?
Yeah, I do. You know, like you got to leave a bit of mystery there. I think always on the first date. You know, can't put it all out there.
I'm wondering what you're wearing. Okay, so on the nose,
Skinny leg jeans, as I mentioned.
Skinny jeans. It's actually not as strong as previous Pinot scents that I've had. Like typically, I inhale quite a fair bit of raisin, currant, and the fruit, but this is a bit lighter. What do you smell?
I don't know. I love the perfume of it at that moment. Like for me, it's kind of intoxicating.
So it's the red fruits that you get, but there's a bit of savouriness, a bit of herbiness about it, which is quite delicate and
that's what
enjoyable.
I meant by down the hill, with a bit more structure, which is a bit more herbiness, a bit more structure, a bit more oomph to it. But it still has those fragrant aromas that kind of come through, and that's why I bought one bottle this one. I wish I had more money to buy more, but you know.
How much did you say these were?
I reckon about $50, $60.
Right, but I tell you, the scent is amazing right now. I'm really enjoying it. Okay,
Yeah. So if I put this into a cologne and water on myself, I reckon it'll be good on the first date as well.
as long as it didn't have your photo on there, that would be good. Let's try with the mouth. Yes, but I'm really enjoying the smell of this.
Reminds me why I bought this wine. In the mouth it delivers, right? It's got that oomph. It's like a velvet glove. I think I kind of said in one of the episodes. Like has that kind of softness, subtlety in terms of how it delivers it, but it still has that kind of strength and structure to deliver that flavor. Again, still kind of red fruits, but a bit of vanilla oak kind of come through as well.
I'll tell you, I get two sides of it. I think the moment it goes into the mouth, it's quite soft and delicate. But I don't know if you get this, but I have this very herby flavor in my mouth. It reminds me of the stuffing in a chicken. You get a roast chicken, it's got a bit of stuffing in there.
Sage?
Lots of herbs and flavors, yes.
Oregano, is it?
And it's delicious. It's got this, it's a very savory flavor, but you've got these light fruit undertones that are coming through with it. That's really nice. Yeah.
We could. Some of the kind of characteristics sometimes you get with more kind of the earthy Pinot Noirs. They kind of talk about kind of mushroom truffle, forest floor. I don't know whether you kind of get that through as well.
A bit of forest floor.
Forest floor? Are you
Both of those, forest floor.
the floor from a florist.
Truffle, I don't get the truffle there. But it's light but also complex at the same time, which is what I find interesting, and maybe the reason why you bought this bottle.
Yeah.
My mouth is salivating as I'm like having the finish as well.
And the length is amazing for this one as well. It just keeps on going through the back of your nose, through your sinus, back down. Just keeps on going and traveling as well.
All right, that's a delicious wine. Okay, let's give it a corkscrew rating.
Yeah.
What do you think out of 10 corkscrews?
I know some people call it, I don't know why, a Pinophile, but you know, I love Pinots as well. I would kind of give this one up there, like 8 or a 9 out of 10.
Oh, you were going on the 9. Wow, that's really good. I agree. This is a great Pinot. Gentle but complex at the same time. I would give it an 8 out of 10. Really, really enjoyable and something to have. Okay, let's move on. So you've had your first date. It's gone quite well. You had a Pinot. She thinks you're exotic because you've got some fancy terms that you're pulling out.
Yeah.
And then she's had this. It's 8 out of 10.
And you keep on saying Pinot Noir, which kind of impresses.
Makes her think,
Yeah.
gosh, let's take this man home. So you've had a couple of dates. It's time to move on. You're in your life journey. And it's gone so well that you want to get married and meet the folks.
Oh.
And so that's the next scenario. The next scenario that we would like to discuss is what wine do you buy when you're first meeting the folks or the in-laws? And so this is the one that I'm tasked with, the challenge that I've accepted to try. and meeting the in-laws is interesting because it depends on the parents. And to me, the whole process of selecting wine, it depends on who it's for. Yeah. And if I've gone out there, if you were to buy a wine for my parents, I know what would happen. They don't drink wine. They would re-gift it. So someone else would get it the next year. But
they still appreciate the wine that you kind of bought for them though, right?
But they don't drink wine. So it depends on the audience. I've had some Vietnamese friends where they would say, don't buy wine, skip that, go get a bottle of XO. Mm-hmm. And that will really impress the parents. So it can give off these views. And that's why I was talking about money a bit earlier. You know, is there complications around how much you're spending? If you spend a $5 bottle of wine, does that show that you're tight and you're not going to look after the daughter?
You're going to bring a cask wine to kind of meet the in-laws?
A goon bag could be interesting as a first setup. Or if they actually enjoy wine, what if you choose a bad wine and they're like, this person doesn't know what it is? They're not really going to think about the most important things for my daughter. So it could be a bit overcomplicated, but I've generally have a 6-step process, and I'm interested if this is how you view your wines. Regardless of the scenario, the steps to me are who's the audience? So who is it for and what do they like or what is the occasion, right? 2, what's the variety that you think best suits that? So the wine variety in terms a Shiraz, a Pinot, should you get a blend? What best matches the occasion, the audience or the food? And then 3 is around the region. So now that you've chosen that it should be a Pinot, should you be choosing the Pinot from the regions it's best known for in Australia? Yarra, we've tried a Mornington Peninsula one as well. The region is another one. And then we get into the budget constraints. How tight are you?
Very tight.
How much are you willing to spend?
Very tight.
You're very tight.
Very tight.
And because the price can kind of dictate the subsequent ones. So after price, it's what's the vintage and then what's the winery. So I'm hoping that set up to 6. I felt like it was 5 or 6.
To think about, I think, when you actually buy the wine. So what did you pick then?
So what I ended up picking is and I need to explain my great in-laws as well. I bought a Cab Sav, St. Hugo Cab Sav 2014 from Coonawarra. All right. And so the reasoning behind this, if I go through the process, who's it for? It's for my father-in-law. What's the variety that he typically enjoys? It's something bold, so it's either a Shiraz or it's a Cab Sav. What's the region that he enjoys? Most of the wines that he has is typically from Coonawarra. It's an SA kind of wine, big bold flavors, and then we can talk about price in a sec. But I know he usually brings out quite aged wine. We've been at his house. He brought out a 1992 Penfolds Cab Sav mixed with the Shiraz as well, and then he also brought out a 1989 Shiraz from South Australia as well. So he likes his aged wines. And so all of that came to the conclusion on why I bought this. It's big bold. It matches what he likes. It's got a bit of age. It was $45 from Dan Murphy's. It was a cellar release as well. And so that's the reasoning behind the choice.
So have you actually bought this for your father-in-law before?
I haven't, but I feel he would enjoy it. And so to my father-in-law, when you see this, you'll be tasting this bottle pretty soon. Yeah. So thanks for testing me out on that one. I haven't bought it, but I think he'd like it. So should we taste?
Try it.
Yeah. So again,
So
tasting.
St Hugo's, is that from Jacobs Creek? Is it? That's from the group.
Is it? I don't know.
I think it is. I think it is.
You tell me. It seems to be quite a popular winery in SA.
Very herby again for the. Oh, sorry, with the eyes, right?
Yeah, and so tasting with the eyes and the nose and the mouth. If we look at a very deep dark purple, I'll put it to the screen. Can't see through that at all.
Yeah, very dark purple, red, crimson.
If we go to the nose,
On the nose. Very herbaceous, as I said before. It's a bit menthol, minty as well. I don't know.
menthol. Let me see. So, cassis. Can you describe cassis? What's that?
Cassis. You're testing me now.
That's the thing that I typically get out of this. I feel like it's a mix between cooked capsicum, and then it gets on the side of a bit of leather or clay and capsicum probably.
Not so much leather. I feel that.
But definitely herbaceous.
I think leather normally comes with a bit more age. Definitely very herby again. I don't know whether it's the stem again, which they use to kind of help make the wine. Let's try the taste.
The tannins are
Tight, right?
obviously very pronounced.
So it's like it just sucks your mouth in, right? Going.
That's the Dyson hand cleaner coming at you. But yeah, that's probably the first thing I get is the dark berry flavors, and then the tannins really strong, sucking out the insides of your mouth.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I think the thing with St Hugo though, I think it's always got the name. But whether I don't know, I feel sometimes it's kind of lost its edge over time.
It's a good thing you brought that up, because I did have other options. I had there was a 2012 GSM, also from Coonawarra, but I was thinking about the audience. That's why I think it's important to think about the audience, and I know my father-in-law knows quite a lot of the big brands and so forth, and so I think the name would mean something to him.
Yeah, like I think it's good, but it's not great. Yeah. To me, it's not interesting.
Yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be the wine that you go for.
Yeah,
and so I think that's the key. The key thing to me is you have to think about who your audience is.
Yeah.
And cater to what they're like, because you're going to know. Like I wouldn't typically go and choose this wine, but if you know what your audience likes, you're more likely to get a hit.
The name,
yeah.
And then I'll go for Penfolds, right? They kind of
there you go.
Hey, I've got the name.
You know that's going to be a winner, and then you can win the daughter and live happily ever after.
If I were going for a winner, I'll go for the Wins.
Wins was another option. I got to say, Dan Murphy's cellar release, good value there, absolutely. And I just wanted to try something a bit different. And so hopefully that gives everyone a view on the process. And really, this is something I think is important, because you can go into a bottle shop and be quite overwhelmed. How do you choose a wine? We want to share our views on how you could choose it. In this instance, on a first date or impressions there, or meeting the in-laws.
Yeah.
If we think about this wine and try to give a rating then on the St Hugo's Cab Sav, Corkscrews out of 10. Trent, did you want to go first?
I think it's still quite a very solid wine, but it's not. It's nice, but not fantastic. So it's like, for me, it's like 7.
Yep. And if you think about the price as well, this is a $45 wine. You could get a lot of other wines.
Yeah.
Maybe without the same age.
Yeah. But
maybe something more enjoyable. So I'd agree. It's definitely not a bad wine, and I hope my father-in-law enjoys it when I buy it for him. For $45.
I think your father-in-law will also enjoy a Penfolds Grange as well. So
yes.
you can buy that for him next time as well.
Thanks for throwing that in there. I want to edit that out of this episode. I agree. I'm kind of tossing between a 6 and a 7. Look, and that's only because of the value. I think it is still enjoyable. So if I was to choose a 7 out of 10 Corkscrews as well.
Yeah, cool.
So there we go. We hope that's given you an indication of how to buy wine. And we've reached the conclusion. To wind it up, did you have any last statements?
Yeah, I think last thought is like, you know, there's a lot to kind of go through the process when you're actually buying wine. It's not very kind of like black or white. You know, lots of different permutations, context that kind of comes into it. So like, hopefully our thought process will kind of help you kind of think about your thought process in terms of how you buy wine. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know if those 6 steps is something that you'd follow, if you have another approach. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And from Trent and I at the Wind Up, let's say drink more, try more, learn more.